Welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. Our mission is to share what we have learned from our experience and the experience of others to help you make more money investing like a pro. We want to teach you how to create wealth by investing in real estate the Discount Property Investor way. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. This is your host, David Dodge. And today on the show, we're going to be talking with Anthony and Sara out of Spring, Texas. Welcome, Anthony and Sara. How are you today?
We're doing well. Thanks so much for having us. Really appreciate it.
Hey, I'm happy you guys are here. It's going to be good to get to know each other. So this is the first that we have spoke. And Anthony and Sara reached out to me a while back ago, basically beginning of the year. And we were just chatting and, they've been following some of the content and they had set a goal at making $100K in the first 3 months of this year. And, as of today, we're basically kind of wrapping up the first 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's great that you guys are here and that we're talking. And you hit the goal, did you not?
Yeah,
we did. We did a couple wholesales. We did a couple flips, and then we hit our number.
Yeah.
Wow, that is phenomenal! Congratulations, guys!
Thank you.
100K in 3 months. Well, let's use this opportunity for you guys to tell myself and the audience a little bit about who you guys are and what kind of investing you do. Fill us in.
Yeah, so we started investing it's probably about a year ago now, right? We started at the beginning of the pandemic. We were working from home. We had toyed around with, learning about real estate, and we figured that now is the best time to get started since we both were at home and we have the time and availability to kind of dive into it. And, the biggest thing for us, we wanted to just make sure that we understood how to run the numbers, how to find deals, et cetera. And so once we figured that out, we were kind of all in, right? And so we've been fortunate to do 14 deals now within the first year. We 13. Get married. Oh, 13. Yeah.
13.
No,
13 deals, guys. That is phenomenal. Congrats.
Yeah, one of the contracts that we haven't closed on yet, so I can't count it until it closes.
So you've got 13 deals under your belt and you have open contracts. I love it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So we get married actually in a couple of weeks now. And so we've kind of slowed down a little bit, but the goal after the wedding is to kind of scale up the wholesale business, but then also get into multifamily. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of where we stand today.
I love it. Well, congratulations on getting married, guys. That's going to be awesome. I'm sure it's going to be so fun.
Yes, sir.
You guys have been at this for a year. That's great. 13 deals under your belt with some open contracts. You guys are crushing it. And you had set a goal to make 100K in 3 months, and you did it. That's the coolest part. Congrats. So
thank you.
Is that you had mentioned a couple different things. Is that all from wholesaling? And you did a flip or two or some flips in there as well? And define flip for the audience. Are you guys, doing paint and carpet, or was this a full blown deal? What kind of deals are you guys doing and have you been doing for the last year?
So there was a couple wholesales. And then in addition to the couple wholesales, we did like a pretty big flip. So cosmetic rehab, we went in, we bought a house that was distressed, and we fixed it up inside, all the cosmetics and stuff. But then we also did like a couple of the big ticket items, the roof. We serviced the AC and everything. But when we flipped that one, we made a big lump sum of cash. So that one was a good one.
Guys, that's great. Congrats. I love it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. Well, let's back up a little bit here. In order for you guys to have done 13 deals and make over $100,000 in the first 3 months of this year, which is awesome. What kind of marketing efforts and things are you guys doing? The audience, I'm sure is dying to hear, just as I am, how you guys were able to get these deals. And I'm assuming they were all off market deals.
No. So
okay, that's fill us in. How'd you find the deals, guys?
Yeah, when we got started, we actually didn't feel too comfortable working with wholesalers. just because, you don't really have an option period and the earnest money goes hard once you send it. It's just like, it was very scary for us. And so we actually found like our first 3 or 4 deals off the MLS. And so Sara actually got her real estate license to kind of cut out the middleman, if you will, so that we had access to the MLS. We could submit our own offers, which made the process, obviously way easier. But then after a while, obviously, as we kind of, grew more confident in running our numbers and making sure that we knew what the ARV was and the asking price and the rehab, we ended up, working with wholesalers. And then we also found our own off-market deals as well. So,
And we
cool.
We go door knocking. That really helps putting like a face to the name sort of. And then we do cold calling, and we've seen that. Sorry, we have dogs. So if you can hear them,
You're fine. You're good. Don't worry about it.
but
Love dogs.
Yeah, so do we. But yeah, door knocking really helps because they can't really just hang up the phone on you.
Yeah, I like that. I like that mindset.
Yeah.
I like that mindset.
I'm
So
gonna,
are you doing a lot of door knocking?
yeah, she's going to go play with the dogs.
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
But just make them shut up. But yeah, we do a lot of door knocking. It's not as efficient, obviously, as cold calling, but like Sara mentioned, it's just like, for some reason, it's just a little bit easier for us to communicate with the seller, tell them what we're doing, what we're about, what we've done, and how we can essentially add value to their situation, right? And so we do that pretty much every weekend. The last couple of weekends have kind of been slow just because we're
Hey, we get that. Absolutely. You guys are going to be really busy with the wedding and whatnot. So how are you choosing to find the neighborhoods or the areas that you're door knocking? Are you guys reverse wholesaling, or are you door knocking in places that you are looking to flip in? And do you have rentals on the horizon?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So I really like being near the medical center. The rentals aren't moving, so those make really great rentals. There's a lot of nurses, doctors, and stuff who live around there. So we have a couple of rentals over there, and that they rent out incredibly quickly. Before we even are done with the renovations, we have like 100 people messaging us off of Zillow to put in an application. So those areas we really like. We are always over in those neighborhoods. The flip we just did, we've door knocked in that neighborhood as well, just because it sold in a day. So you're trying to get some more over there. And then what was the second part of the question? Oh, do you have any rentals on the horizon? We don't have any for us, but because we're moving into multifamily after the wedding. So we've been focusing on flips and wholesales recently, and then the goal is to get like a 20 or 30 plex apartment after the wedding.
You guys have a great plan. I love it. It all starts with having a plan.
Exactly.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You got to have that plan, guys. Having a plan is everything. A goal without a plan is a dream. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. Absolutely love that. So you're door knocking in areas that you guys are liking. I love that. Cold calling. Tell us about the cold calling a little bit. Are you guys using a dialer? And are you getting lists from Driving for Dollars, or are you just pulling lists, or both?
Yeah. So when I first kind of wanted to dive in, or decided to dive in, sorry, tongue twister, into wholesaling, we got our list from just Driving for Dollars, whether it be
those are the best lists.
Yeah, physically in the car or virtually, right? Like on Google Maps. And we found some success just doing that and kind of, essentially creating our own list, right? And, skip tracing the owner, calling them, telling them what we do, how we can help them, et cetera. That's been our kind of go-to list that we've been cold calling.
Are you guys cold calling with a dialer?
No, just me. Yeah.
Nice.
After the wedding, like I mentioned, we'll scale up. We'll utilize call rail or some of those other services that people use. But as of now, it's just been Sara and I just calling, knocking out, 30, 40 calls a day.
Sure.
Kind of reach our numbers. Yeah. So
that's what's up, guys. I love it. Is Spring, Texas, north of Houston?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are basically in Houston then, kind of, right? I mean, that's part of it. No?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of our rentals are over in the Houston area.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So you're just outside of, I guess, the inner belt. I get it. Okay. I'm looking at the map here. That's a big city. That's a lot of properties, a lot of owners.
Exactly.
Probably a lot of motivation, right? And
yes,
that's definitely where we're at. Sara, I got to ask, and I'm really impressed with you going and getting your license. to, save on the commissions, but also to make those offers? Are you doing anything with that in terms of helping buyers find properties or listing properties?
Yeah. So I've helped a couple people list their properties, and
Great. That's awesome.
Most of it really is just like for our investment purposes.
Yeah.
So I've had a couple clients who I've been working with to help them find their personal homes. And I'll definitely work with people if they're sent to me, but I'm not like doing a bunch of marketing to try to get clients as a realtor, because
and that's great though. I just love it when you have those tools in your belt, is kind of the metaphor that I use. It's foolish to not, use them, because really those efforts, even if you're listing a house for somebody else, like you're building your network is really what you're doing, and you're getting paid in the meantime. Because later that individual will come back and they'll say, hey, somebody else needs some help, or they got a house that they want to sell, and then hopefully you can buy it versus deal with the listings and the brokerages and all that type of stuff. But it's really great that you guys are doing that. I love that. All right, cool. Well, you guys are rocking and rolling. $100,000 in the first 3 months of this year. What's on the horizon? Obviously the wedding, and I'm sure you guys have been very, very busy with that. But once you get the wedding behind you, you're gonna what's the plan? Is it more wholesales? Is it looking for flips as well?
So we have three like paths we're going to take. So I'm really going to focus on auctions when we get back. So auctions, so we can kind of stop looking at the MLS entirely and do all off market auction deals to do our flips. He's going to really focus on supercharging our wholesaling stuff and kind of using the dialers and some other tools to do that a little bit more quickly.
Okay.
And then we're already in the process of working to get a 20 or 30 plex apartment. So where you've got set up with a bank who's going to loan us all the money to do that. And we're starting to get in touch with all the brokers to kind of get our name out there. So those are kind of the big 3 steps that we're going to do. And we'll work on the apartment part together.
I love it, guys. Those are good goals right there. So with the auction deals, are you referring to like the foreclosure auctions?
Yeah.
And okay, cool. So do you guys have access to quick cash or quick capital?
We do.
Awesome. So the auctions they make for a really good lead source. We buy, we haven't bought for the auctions in a while just because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
But like over the last 6 years, like excluding the last year, we would typically buy 1 to 2 a month from the auction. So I love where your head's at. No, going in, and not all of these are the same. So, don't quote me on this, but oftentimes people that buy from the auctions, they tend to make a business out of it, and they're there every day. And they can basically kind of form these like clubs. And when new people come, they're not so happy that there's more competition. So the goal though, from why I'm mentioning this, is don't let those people bother you. Do your best to make friends with them. They're not your competition. They're your strategic partner. Because when you're the outsider, you are the competition, and they're going to bid you up.
Right.
But if you can make friends with all those people and let them know that you want this one, maybe they'll give it to you in exchange for you giving them the next one. If you're constantly bidding against them, you're gonna, you know what I'm saying? So make friends, and it could take some time, but stick it out. I love that. Number 2 path was, increasing the wholesaling. Highly recommend a dialer and SMS. Here's why I like those combined. So I use batch leads and I use batch dialer.
Okay.
And the cool thing is the dialer, can do up to 10 lines. Okay. I don't ever do that many. We usually do 3 or 4 at a time. Okay. I don't really believe in ringless voicemail. I think it's kind of scummy. But I've done it in the past, right? I'm not going to be a hypocrite, right? I've done it. I just haven't done it in a long time. But what I like about the cold calling dialer is it's ringing voicemails.
Sure.
So you're still accomplishing that same thing essentially, but they also have a missed call this time, right? So, 2 or 3 hours on the dialer, the goal would be to contact as many people as possible, set some appointments, make some offers, obviously, right? But you're also dropping like 300 voicemails that over the next week or 2 are going to come back. That's if you do it once. Sure. If you do it 2 or 3 or 4 times a week, it snowballs, right? Batch leads, I also highly recommend for the wholesaling. Really, those are the number one and number two tools that I use in my business.
Okay.
Right? batchleads.io/Dave to go get a free trial,
Yep.
or batchdialer.com/Dave to get a free trial of that for anybody that's listening.
Sure.
But the reason I like those two together is this: Batch Leads is owned by Batch Skip Tracing. Jesse, Evo, Annie, they're all my friends. I know them really well. And they allow you to do the skip tracing in Batch Leads, but there's more to that. It prevents you from skip tracing the same lead twice, guys. It's called match savings. And I will basically pull vacant lists in my market, and I'll pull them every 2 or 3 months. And there'll be 3,000 or 4,000 leads on there. And instead of trying to filter out the ones, I just import the whole list and skip trace the whole list. And it only charges me for the new data. So this last list, I spent $130 in skip tracing, and going into it, it said it was going to be $500.
Wow.
So that like $370 was saved from that, right? So and that's the majority. That's the bulk of your cost is your skip trace cost. So once you have your skip trace costs done, calling them or texting them doesn't really cost that much extra. Unlimited dialing on the dialers, the texting is like 1 or 2 cents. It's so cheap, right? So once we collect that data, we'll have our team cold call them, and we'll have our team text. Now you can obviously only text the mobiles, but we'll do both. And again, it's just a way to make your dollars stretch a little farther. You've already paid, basically 90% of your cost on the skip trace. So to add another way to communicate, definitely like that. So that would be my 2 cents.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely. And if I'll have Sarah DM you with that link. Just so
absolutely. I'll be happy to share. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
So that I think would really help. Also, if you need a virtual assistant, we partnered up with a company that does virtual assistants. Most of the time when you're dealing with an agency, you're getting $8 or $9 an hour. The agency we work with is one that I use. I don't upcharge it. We pay $5 an hour. If you guys are ever interested in a cold caller, we can connect you with that team as well. But I would say, using those two systems is going to help you reach more people at a cheaper cost. And then leveraging somebody else's time is going to allow you to step back and work the hot leads and run the appointments and do the things that are actually going to make the dollars, right?
How's the virtual assistant worked for you?
So the virtual assistants are great. They're in the Philippines. They're $5 an hour. That includes a manager. Now, this is the ones that we have, of course. There's lots of companies out there and lots of people. They all have a little accent, but that's normal. And it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't bother me. I want high energy, and that's what my team brings. And if you have high energy, people will look past the accent. And if they don't look past the accent, then their motivation wasn't high enough, and we don't want to be on the phone with them anyway. Literally, think about it that way, right? More is more with marketing. So, it doesn't have to necessarily be, somebody that sounds like they've lived in Houston their whole life, right? Hey, I work for a company that's buying houses. Want to sell one? If they're motivated, they're gonna be like, yes, call me right away, right? So don't overthink that at all. But those are the two systems that I would recommend, and bringing in somebody to help. The first thing we outsourced was our follow-up, or I shouldn't say I 6-7 years ago, because I couldn't keep up with the inbounds, the appointments, the marketing of deals, the buyers list building and working and networking, and the follow-up, right? And then I slowly started outsourcing more and more. Now we have 3 cold callers, a cold texter, and a guy that does nothing but follow up all day long, right? So you can scale your team as needed, of course, right? Your third path, though, finding that larger multifamily deal. I love that you mentioned you're starting to network with these other brokers and agents. Also, don't discount the fact that you can contact these owners yourself, right? And you can pull these lists and owners' names out of Batch Leads. You can do it out of PropStream. You can even use like a Deal Machine or Batch Driven. Batch Driven is another product that they have. That's a Driving for Dollars app that I absolutely love, right? And you can call these folks up, and ideally find one that needs a little bit of work, that's under rented, right? Goal. That would be the goal. So you can then, rehab them as you need and increase that value. And when you increase the value, $100 a door on 30 doors, that's a lot of money, guys.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. I love those 3 paths. You guys are crushing it.
So do we.
I love it. You guys are crushing it. Keep it up. That's awesome. Well, let's take a step back here, guys, and let's talk about why real estate? What were you guys doing before? And how did you guys get to where you're at now? I think that's very important for the listeners because, here's the deal. I don't want to not sound like this is a huge win because this is a phenomenal win, right? But what I do want you to also help me convey is that this is very possible for anybody out there, right? I'm sure you guys have hustled your butts off to do what you've done. By all means, I'm not saying it was easy, but I am saying that what we're doing isn't really that hard. It's simple. Simple and easy are 2 different things, are they not? Very different.
Yes,
so, tell us your guys' background.
Yeah, so I have a background in mechanical engineering. I grew up in Houston. He went to school in Iowa, played football there. And then we met in Austin. And when we met, we had this idea that we just wanted to get involved with real estate in general. He was doing a lot of research, and I wasn't fully on board yet because I didn't see the upside. I didn't get it. I was like, if you're putting all this money into it and it's really not, it's paying you $100 a month, I just didn't get it. So then we found the BRRRR strategy and we realized wow, you only are putting up 5, 10, maybe no money. And you're getting $300 or $400 a month on these single family properties. So
we just did one today. I didn't interrupt for a second that we refinanced. It's making $650 as a single family.
I'll take it.
That's the cash flow. So again, guys, that's not enough to book a trip. I get it. Right. But you own 100 of those. That's a ton.
Yeah.
Right. Or even 30 or 20 or 10. 10 of those. 10 of those is $6,000 a month.
Yeah.
So, okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please.
So, so we were, once the numbers clicked, the whole thing made sense to me. And then with real estate, you get the appreciation, you get the cash flow, you get all the tax benefits. We just did our tax returns and we just got a buttload of money back.
I don't even barely pay taxes. And that's,
I love tax season. It makes me so happy.
And that's legally, right? This year I'm going to pay a lot because I sold 35 houses, but typically I don't pay it. It's my rates around 8 or 10% once all the depreciation offsets the income. It's amazing. That's one of my favorite things with it. And that's just icing on the cake. Love it. So you mentioned cash flow, you mentioned depreciation, you mentioned appreciation.
Yeah. And then principal pay down. There's so many benefits that you get with real estate. You don't have to pay taxes when you sell the property. If you do a 1031, you don't get these with other investment vehicles, and you don't get the cash flow with other investment vehicles unless you're getting dividends and stuff. But those aren't enough. And so once I figured all this stuff out, I was 100% on board, and we kind of just jumped in when COVID hit because we were working from home.
What better time to jump in?
Yeah.
I love it.
So when we had the weekends, we had the evenings, we weren't doing anything else because we couldn't go out. So this was perfect timing. And we've just really tried to supercharge it. Now we're just trying to figure out now, like you said, how to scale it. And that's how we came to those 3 different strategies that we're really going to pursue after the wedding in order to build our business more quickly. And
well, you guys are doing great, by the way. Phenomenal start. I love it. Anthony, what's your background, man?
So grew up in New Orleans, was just displaced by Hurricane Katrina. So that kind of brought me and my family to Dallas. And like Sarah mentioned, my way to college was through athletics. So I played football at the University of Iowa, got involved with entrepreneurship. And so I started a couple companies in college, met a couple mentors in Iowa that were involved in real estate. And they wanted me to buy a condo and or a house in Iowa back in 2014, 2015. But I was like, no, I'm not ready yet, And then after college, decided to move to Austin, Texas, and get involved with tech sales at Oracle, and then met her there. And now we're both in the oil and gas industry here in Houston, and obviously investing in real estate. So great journey, and we're looking forward to continuing to grow in our real estate journey. So.
I love it. Guys, let's talk about those wholesale deals you did. That's kind of the passion of mine is, finding good deals right now. You chose to wholesale, but those probably were really good deals that, could have been other things. It could have been flips or could have been rentals, obviously. Tell us about those deals. You didn't find those deals on the MLS, right?
We actually found 2 on the MLS.
No, you did not. Wow. Okay, cool. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
So one of them was one that we were trying to do ourselves. And then we ended up, I thought the ARV was something, we get value checks on anything from our lender. And he thought it was like $10,000 less, which blew our number. And at this point, we had backed out of so many deals because it didn't work for like us as a flipper or a burr. And he finally was just like, I'm done backing out of deals. And he's like, we're going to wholesale these because this will work for somebody else. Somebody else will take
Anthony. Great thinking, man.
Or whatever
that's what's up. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when we started really doing the wholesaling. When we were just like, if it doesn't work for us, it'll work for somebody else. There's another investor out there who will do it. These Californians who keep coming in. So yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of our first wholesale deal, I mean, we made like $6,000 or whatever. It was like a little margin, but I mean, she made money on the commission. I made money on the wholesale. It was like a win-win for everybody.
That's a huge win.
Yeah.
The money is really just secondary, guys. Now, when you start doing these, it opens up your mind to like the fact that you just flipped a house. Now, did you have to buy it first, or did you wholesale it truly with just contract paperwork?
Just paperwork. Yeah.
Was it a double close or an assignment? How'd you close it?
Assignment. Yeah, we did an assignment.
Awesome.
We actually partnered. We actually did a JV, right? So I ended up making like $3,000 off the JV, but she made like 4 or 5 off of the
that's awesome.
The commission. Yeah. So,
I love it. That's awesome.
Yes,
so have you found any off market yet?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
We found 3 off market. One was just kind of a layup, right? Like her family had recommended that we talk to the seller. They were older. They were looking to basically get out, right? And I told them that, hey, I work with a group of investors that can come in and kind of take this off your hands. And so we were able to make $10,000 off of that one.
Guys, that's great. You gotta celebrate these wins. That's all. That's amazing.
Yeah, we definitely did celebrate. Yeah.
So I want to focus on the off market. And I love the fact that you guys are going to start the auction. That's great. And I love the fact that you're finding deals on the MLS. It's difficult. So if you can find deals on the MLS and make them work, you are going to be crushing it when you go heavy and hard in the paint on the off market side of the game, right?
Yeah.
I'm confident. So the off market ones though, I want to just kind of talk about those just for a second here.
Yeah.
What marketing efforts did you use to find those? Were they driving for dollars, or what were you guys doing? Was it cold calling and door knocking as well?
Yep, cold calling, door knocking, and essentially driving for dollars. Yeah. So,
man, you guys, I never hear door knocking. I
love door knocking.
Yeah, me too.
I love that you guys love it and are having success with it, because here's the deal. That's probably like the most effective way to market.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go spend a bunch of cash doing it too. You got to put some time aside, of course. Right. But like, it's not hard to convince somebody that you guys will have a ton of value in providing them convenience.
Sure.
In exchange, you just get the discount. That's it.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
Yep.
So let me ask you this. When you are doing the door knocking and you're finding these deals, they're obviously not vacant, because if you knocked, they wouldn't answer. Or are you then cold calling those people as well?
Correct.
Both?
Yeah. So
Okay,
like
cool.
if they don't answer, I'll just write the address down and skip trace it and try to call them directly.
Awesome.
But
Awesome.
most of the time somebody's home. So
Right. So then whenever you approach them, I mean, in order to buy their house, they're probably they're probably like, that's where they live essentially. Right.
Yeah.
So then is Sara jumping in and helping on the real estate brokerage side to find something else for them?
Yeah. So that's kind of our strategy too, is if we can come at it from, hey, we'll wholesale this for you.
Why wouldn't it be? Right.
Strategy. And then if they're not comfortable with the wholesaling thing or just doesn't make sense, I'm like, okay, well, I can list it for you.
Yeah.
If you guys are to do it. And then there's a really fun one we did over by one of the flips we just did he wasn't home. So we stuck like a business card in his door. He ended up calling us back, gave us a grand tour of his house. I mean, it was a perfect flip for somebody else. But yeah, when he's ready to move, I'll definitely be the one to help him find his next place. So yeah.
Build that network.
Yeah.
I love it. I think that's awesome. With your third path, that multifamily deal, like I said, don't discount those off-market properties, guys. Call them. Here's the thing. There's probably not that many multis that are in the 30 unit range.
No.
Right.
I mean, when I say
If
not
it-
that many, like there's, even if there's 200 of them, that's not that
Yeah.
many, right?
Right.
So I would get a list of them off of PropStream or Batch Leads or whatever you're using, and skip trace those individuals and do the same method that you were going to do with the brokers of those people.
Okay.
Even if they're not willing to sell, that's okay. Don't have the mindset that everybody is,
Sure.
and I don't think you do by any means,
Yeah.
but call those people, say, hey, this is Anthony or this is Sarah. I want to buy your building. And if it's not for sale, save my number as Sarah or Anthony that's going to buy my building. And they're going to laugh at you and be like, you're crazy. But literally get them to save it. And then guess what they do when they're ready to sell? They call you first.
Yep.
So build the relationships with the future client, even
Sure.
if they're not ready today. Because again,
Yeah.
you're going to be limited. And again, 200, there could be 300, there could be 500. But
Yeah.
that's still not that many if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
And start calling on those people, because the off-market deal is always going to be a better scenario. And if you think, even if you're cut out 3% listing commission on that listing side, that's still 3% less you can pay
Exactly.
for them to net that same number. So,
Right.
wow, I'm going to just start taking lessons from you guys. You guys are doing awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the Discount Property Investor Podcast. This has been a phenomenal show. I'm glad that we were able to use this to get to know each other, but also share a lot of value. You guys jumped in with door knocking and cold calling, and that would be like, some of the things that people would push to the last things that they would do.
Yep.
You guys said, you know what, these things aren't necessarily easy, but we can make them fun. Let's do them together. I'm truly impressed and inspired by you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've learned so much from your page on Instagram. So thank you to you and the team as well.
Hey, and I'm glad you mentioned that, guys. Sarah and Anthony reached out to me on Instagram, and they were asking questions. We were chatting, and they have a big success they wanted to share. And I am so happy that they did. Right. So if you are listening to this, you can do the same thing. Reach out to me, reach out to you guys as well. You guys are now coaches at this point. I love it. How can we reach you guys on Instagram? Everybody should know at this point. My handle is David Allen Dodge. Sarah and Anthony, what are your handles?
Gair, GAIR.real estate is the best way to get in contact with us.
Yep.
Awesome. Gair.real estate. We'll add that into the show notes. And guys, thanks again for coming on. So happy to meet you, to celebrate your successes. And I am confident that you guys are going to have massive success in those 3 channels: auctions, wholesaling, and acquiring that multifamily deal. We'll have to do this again.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Any parting words for the audience? If you're new and you're listening to this, what would be some advice that you'd give somebody to get started and to, really eliminate the fear? What would be your advice?
Yeah, I would definitely say find a mentor that's local in your state or your city. Listen to a couple podcasts just so you feel more confident when you're talking to your mentor, so you at least have an idea of what it is that you want to do. And then just go get it. You got to be hungry. You got to be determined to get that first deal or that second deal or third deal, whatever it is. You just got to be a go-getter. So that's my advice to anybody that's listening or anybody that's new that's ready to jump in.
I want to highlight that, guys. He said, you got to be hungry. That's so true. All right. This business isn't necessarily hard, but it's also not easy. The first call you make isn't going to be a deal. The first door knock you make isn't going to be a deal. But if you're consistent, you're going to have results just like Anthony and Sarah here. Guys, thanks again for coming on. So great to meet you. Until next time.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for listening to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach a wider audience. To jumpstart your real estate investing career, visit freewholesalecourse.com, the most complete free course on wholesaling real estate ever. We would also appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you in advance for your support. And remember, you make your money when you buy, you get paid when you sell. Now let's go build some wealth.